So today I actually wanted to try something a little bit new. I wanted to just get out of my office. I feel cooped up in there. It's winter time over here. It's like 14 degrees outside and I'm just ready to for the summer to come. But in the meantime, I'm just gonna, kind of talk a little bit out here and work a little bit out here in the warehouse. So I wanted to get into a subject about why gyms actually fail. Over the last 20 years of helping gyms and building gyms from the ground up, I've seen a lot of failures throughout the years. And I always notice that there is like underlying common denominators between each gym that actually cause some of these failures before the owners even notice it. So I wanted to talk about those. So if you're a gym and you want to or a business owner and you want to just kind of chime in, I'd love to hear from you. Other than that, I'm just going to get into a few different reasons and then you tell me if you know any more that I didn't actually name. So let's get into it. All right, so there's no actual there's no tier list here. I'm just gonna spitball them out there. I'm not gonna number them oh, this is the number one reason. I'm just gonna talk about certain reasons. So one of the craziest reasons I've seen is, well, short story. I went to go visit a client at a gym that he wanted me to buy some gym equipment from him. I didn't know he was going out of business at the time. And I walked in there and I really had to go to the bathroom. So anyway, so I get in there and I just basically have to say hi and blast right through and say, hey, I need to use the bathroom. I get in there and then I noticed that the bathroom was an absolute pigsty. It was so bad. And so I did my thing and I ran into a guy and I said, hey man, has this always been like this? And the member said, hey, I've been a member here for 7 years and I've never seen it clean. It's always been like this. It's just filthy. So one of those things that you really got to look out for, it is cleanliness. Now at my older age, the very first thing I do before I join a club or even go when I do a gym assessment for somebody, one of the first things I do is go to the bathroom because I need to see what the cleanliness looks like because it's so basic but so overlooked sometimes that it needs to be said, so that's probably one of those things where you should really look out for. Make sure you have a cleaning, a staff on somebody that's cleaning on staff, or you're doing the cleaning yourself. It's not about being prideful or anything like that. It just comes down to pure cleanliness. So to hear members say this place is a sty, it's just an absolute turnoff. So people are not going to take showers there. They're not going to want to use the bathroom there. They're not going to want to spend any extra time in the club. And to make money in a gym, to make money in a training facility, you got to want to have them stay there. They got to want to stay there. And the more longer they're there, the closer they feel to the community of the gym, the more money they're going to spend at the gym. So if you have any deterrent in a way, the place is a sty, you can't use the bathroom, then it's going to become a problem. So that's one of those things that I always tell people to look out for when they're running a gym. Another one of these situations is where the client does not keep up with their equipment. Equipment maintenance is really important. It's one of those small things that can make a big deal and does make or break gyms. When I walk into a gym and I see out of order signs all over the place, it's a telltale sign that it's poorly managed and that they're not really doing what they're supposed to do. I have a thing where I think a gym shouldn't have a piece of equipment down more than 2 weeks. And that's me being really, really generous. At the end of the day, you could get parts overnighted if you need to. And I know that some of these parts are very expensive. I know that service techs sometimes are very hard to get a hold of. But you have to really take it upon yourself to build a network of people that can help you out when these issues come up. Because at the end of the day, it's just not a good look if somebody walks in there. Just think about it. If somebody walks in there, they're a brand new guy, somebody you're trying to sign up, and the very first thing when they do the walkthrough to the gym is that there's a machine that's down and not operational. It's just not a good look. So that's one thing I would also look out for. Another one of these situations that could really cause a real problem is keeping the personal out of the gym. So, small story, I knew a gym that I was working out at with my girlfriend for a few years, and it was a great place to go train. And I love the trainers and I love what they had going on. It was a group type of training. I only did it once a week. It was very good for cardio and for strength building. And there was a lot of, it felt like a community when you were in there. So there was a situation where one of the trainers, well, let's just say that two of the trainers are married and one of them cheated on the other and got caught by the other trainer. Then they posted it on social media and it created a shitstorm in the gym to the point where people were picking sides. And I gotta be honest with you, it ruined that gym to the point where the gym closed up in probably 4 or 5 months after that happened, just because it became awkward. You could tell that people were picking sides, people were just, you know, getting rid of their memberships because of it. So that's one to really think about. Like, I would really keep your personal life out of the gym. Like, it's your business, but you don't ever shit where you eat. Like, it's just very important. So make sure that you keep your personal life out of your business, period. It's a training facility. Yes, it's community building, but at the end of the day, if you have the potential to lose clients if you get too personal with people. So, you know, that's just food for thought. Coming off that last story, poorly managed gyms. If you have a gym that's poorly managed, it's gonna go under, period. It's either gonna go under or it needs to go under new management. Just remember that. It's a direct reflection of yourself is what that business is like. If it's run poorly, it's, you know, it reflects poorly on you, even if you're not the person actually running the gym. So make sure whoever you hire is doing what they have to do to, you know, to make sure they're keeping up with what you're trying to do with your gym. So keep that in mind. You know, I've seen a lot of horror stories of managers just not caring and just, I don't know, like basically taking over the gyms. You know, there was a thing in the early 2000s, gyms were kind of like mom and pop, and you could tell like there was always someone there that was ownership. In the early 2000s, when all these franchises started taking over, like Retro Fitness at the time, it was Planet Fitness, Snap, all these people, it became like an investment for people to open up gyms, and they would run them absentee. So basically they would put up all the money, hire a manager, and they would sit home and collect the check. So that worked for a lot of different chains, and it worked for certain people, but at the end of the day, it didn't work for everybody. And a lot of those people that it didn't work for made them go out of business. So just keep that in mind. Here's another one people tend to neglect. Building maintenance. I know that when you rent a location that there's gonna be issues, but if you have a leak coming from the roof and it's leaking into your gym, if your AC is out, if your floor has holes in it, if the paint is old and worn and drab, that's on you to take care of that stuff. And you should actually budget for that kind of stuff when you're working with your accountant every year. You know, just have a stipend of money to be able to fix these things. Planet Fitness, the reason they've been able to do what they've been able to do is because they never fail at that. Every 4 to 6 years, they're actually replacing their gym equipment, which you don't necessarily have to. I think that's a gimmick, if you ask me, in order to get the franchisees to pay more money, because essentially they're just an equipment business. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent here, but they actually redo the floors every six, 7 years. They'll redo the locker rooms. We've worked a lot in the past with LA Fitness, and LA Fitness, say what you want about them. They got about 178 locations all the way throughout the country, and it's still privately owned, and they do a ton of maintenance on all their gyms. They do a closure of one gym, they open up another gym, or they'll revamp a whole gym. You know, we used to do this for a couple of years. For 2 or 3 years, I basically used to travel and used to go to gyms every Sunday just to be able to take out equipment so they could rip out their carpeting, redo their lockers, redo their flooring, and just give the gym kind of like a facelift. So just remember, that's your responsibility, and I think it's a good look. And it's one of those things where you could see where, you know, when the gym is going under or the gym is going down, it just sticks out like a sore thumb. So just be aware of it. All right, so this very last one is it's a strange one, okay? So I think that sometimes too much competition opens up in your area, or you're going into an area that has a ton of competition. So you have to really be aware of that, because sometimes it's just not worth being in that spot. Maybe it is better just being a couple of miles away, or 3 or 4 miles away, or maybe 2 or 3 towns away. It's better. So just pick your location right, because man, let me tell you, when there's a lot of competition in your area, it's a race to the bottom. Everybody's dropping prices. Everybody's doing what they have to do to try to get those customers in the door. And you know, not everybody has a $10 model. Not everybody has a $20 model. Not everybody could sell training in packages for, 20 sessions for $5. It just doesn't work. So just keep in mind, like, just make sure that, when there's too much competition in the area, I've seen a lot of places go under. So be aware of that. Now, I do free fitness consultations, free gym consultations, for both homes, commercial gyms, personal training studios, or startups. Just keep that in mind. I always put a link down below in these videos. And if you guys like the way this video went, or, this is something a little bit better than you're used to, let me know. Post a comment down below. I'd love to hear it. So until the next time, I'm out. Peace.